What the heck, man? We're not going live. How come?
It says live.
Says we're
Oh,
live.
it says live.
Yes.
Okay, we're live. Okay, how about that? Have we been live a long time and I didn't even know we've been live?
15 seconds.
Pinch me. So the topic of the conversation tonight is when spirit says no, you feel that calm, firm no, and you go, yeah, who cares? You know, I'm doing it anyways. And how's it worked out when that happens, when you go against that no? Or how does it work when you say yes and everybody thinks you're just nuts for saying yes? Like saying no when everybody thinks you should say yes. Do you get it?
I think so.
Okay.
Spirit's telling me not to answer that.
Okay, that's the end of our podcast. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks for joining us. That was fun. I remember a time where I was putting on this event, and this person wanted to join the organizing committee, and everything inside me was saying no, and even other people were saying no, and I didn't listen. I just if I'm honest with myself, I thought I can handle them. Like I can, and if I'm really honest with myself, there's a part of me that wanted to save them,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and then I figured whatever comes up, I'll deal with it. It's on me, because I had the feeling of no, but I didn't listen. And I would never do that again. It wasn't worth it. It really just, when spirit says no, sometimes you don't listen and there's, minor repercussions, and sometimes you don't listen and you really go through hell. And, that was a particular example where just, the person tried to derail a bunch of things, and it caused just so much more work than was necessary. And so when I hear that no now, I pay attention a lot closer. But I do remember a time where, and then I still do it sometimes, where spirit will say no, and I do it anyway, just to check, just to see what'll happen. I'm like, okay, I heard the no, I'm going to do it anyway, just to see. And I do that less and less, but I did for a while, just to learn to trust myself. It was like this game of learning what the messages of spirit felt like to me, and was that really no, or is that is that really from spirit, or is that coming from somewhere else? And well, I'm not going to listen and see what happens. So I did that for a while, and I'm over that now, mostly. But yeah, that's what comes to mind for me when you ask that question.
I've had similar experiences, and if I'm going to be very honest, since we're doing that now, really, really honest, I had the thoughts, well, I'm so damn spiritual, this will be something I can control and do. No matter what that person is, I actually know so much. It was like an ego thing, right? Which is really quite the poison, right? So I would roll ahead in situations very similar to what Frederick was describing, and the harder I tried, because I was so smart and so spiritual, that the bigger the mess got. And instead of just relaxing off the get-go and having, which it could have been a somewhat uncomfortable conversation that I was trying to avoid too. Because
was it an uncomfortable conversation you were wanting to avoid?
Yeah, well, basically saying to the person, no, thank you, not this time, and maybe the next time, and let it all. It can all be done quite nicely and stuff like that. But instead of just saying that and catching a little bit of flack from that, you find yourself in a mess it can consume you. It can suck you right in. If you're not watching the mess evolve and you're walking into it, like, you can just be in this tornado before you know it.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting point, Greg. And I think that was part of what happened with me as well, where Spirit is saying no, but I don't have the confidence or the willingness to speak those words, to let that person down, or to have that difficult conversation. And so I'm just going to go with it anyway. And I think if you do that enough times, you kind of learn to have the conversations rather than deal with the repercussions.
Yes. Yeah. And for the most part, it never gets into like anything very serious. And like in the situations that I was like that, it was like small gatherings and stuff like that, and a few people and so on. It wasn't anything like life-threatening, but like it's the same situation. It can be all over the map. Could be real minor and could be huge, but it's the same conversation. Just say, if you don't really get it, just say, I don't get it. I don't get why I would need to have you here now, and thanks. And, come out another time. And they might just get mad and leave, or they might understand and do whatever. But like how they respond can't be any reason why we say or don't say something.
Well, I think that's a very good signpost for each of us to look at. Like, how often have we avoided being honest with what we're feeling because we have made up a story about what's going to happen when we're honest with that other person?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember having a situation where so I have done all that other same stuff you guys have done. Oh yeah, I can handle that, all that stuff, until you learn enough to like just pay attention. And so I had this situation where I was in a group and it was mainly sort of online, and there were people out in West, and there was a woman who I felt like there was something off, right? And yet she was like integral into this group. And I, instead of just going with the feeling of the off, I said, I'm going to have a conversation directly with her, like one-on-one, and make sure I feel what I'm feeling when I'm just talking to her instead of in the group. And I got real clear that like, I can't be involved if she's going to have the task that's involved, because I think it will compromise too many people. And when I brought up that, when I called the sort of the head of everything, and I said, listen, I got to let you know, I got to step back. I got lambasted, right? Like, I'm so disappointed in you for making that decision. You don't know what you're doing, and that same thing. And I was like, I'm trusting what I'm feeling. Do you trust what you're feeling? Right. And he's like, yes, but you, and it's like, it was very interesting to me. I thought you were a very astute individual, like very spiritual, yet you can't accept that I'm trusting what I'm feeling, because it makes no sense to you. And for me, that was the first time that I could actually take all that, sort of heat from another individual without making myself really wrong and thinking maybe I'm making the wrong mistake. And I was very, very like respectful about it, and just saying, listen, this is what I need to do. It's the perfect decision for you. If you feel it is, it's perfect for you, but it's not for me. This is the perfect decision. I need to walk away. And I felt like that actually gave me, it was like a spiritual, like, ting, okay, here goes the arrogance, right? Like, ting, okay, you passed that test. You've done it once, you can do it again. It was difficult. It's difficult to have somebody, totally, at least I found that, to totally disagree with you when you had basically respected them previously. Yet it actually, now that I'm seeing, I just had one of those the other day too. So it does allow, there's a sense of letting go every time I've done it. So I've learned a lot disagreeing with spirit over the years, and done the yes without the no. And then finally agreeing, it's a lot easier.
Yes.
No.
I find for myself, it's to varying degrees of how loud the yes or the no is. I've had circumstances where it's a, like you might be just pottering around the house and it's a yes or a no, and it's a quiet sort of a yes or a no. I've had moments where it's been a really loud gut clenchingly, shut it down now, no, don't even go there, stop. The body just responds completely in lockdown. That's how hard the no is. I've had experiences where I've been really, really shown something or indicated something is really strongly, and yet my whatever part of myself that was still learning to let go of whatever I was holding on to was like having to show other people what I was shown. So it was like I had to be validated in what I was feeling of that. With certain people, like, how do you not see this? This person is, I can see this clearly. I'm feeling this. Why? How come you're not? And it was that in itself was like another, like, don't even go there. That's a no. Just stop getting involved in that as well. So in myself now, there are still a little bit circumstances that might come up that I might feel like that. But for the most part I'm quite happy with going like that. No, that's okay. I'll leave that there. And I don't need to explain it anymore, or I don't need to be validated by someone else's experience to make sure that what I'm feeling was correct. So, yeah, it makes it a lot easier, because it really does. Like, we've all said before, when you think, oh, I can deal with this, it's okay. And then it's like, no, it's a whole lot worse when you don't listen to yourself. Yeah. A lot more peaceful.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we all have met somebody during 2020, 2021 that said, I thought this or wanted this and I didn't do this, and now I wish I hadn't, right? Like, I think that's part of the process, is we, like Frederick said, had to test himself enough times, because if you, it is like working out, right? It is developing that muscle to say, you know what, and humility, like you said, Greg, to say, you know what, I can't overcome everything. I'm still in this body, or have some limitations, right? Spirit has got us all working together. And so all these experiences help us to develop that strength and conviction of saying no, when we're guided to say no, when it seems everybody else is saying yes.
I love the crickets in the background. I love the crickets in the background when no one was talking.
Oh, they're real crickets here. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
I'm not sure you can hear them.
Is the crickets the only one talking over there, Joanne, or do you have something you want to express, or what? Tell us what they're saying.
Well, I don't know about them, because they're in my ear chatting all the time, so I just have to learn how to let them be behind me in the background and not take over too much. I look for tools to help me make choices and get answers, because I don't seem to go do it or don't go do it. In fact, I'm the person that gets something to come my way, and I take 40 hours and 40 days to make up a decision. But I know I've made the right decision, because I've went over every scenario there possibly could be on the planet. And I realized that that's a procrastination thing, not on purpose, but to make sure that I make the right decision. So with me, I learned how to use the pendulum. And then it's like, that's fantastic, because now I can just say, should I go do this or shouldn't I go do this? But at beginning, I still didn't trust. So I'd have the pendulum and I'd hold it and I'd go, woo, and hit the back of my elbow so it would start going this way or back and forth for no. And eventually, like Frederick, the more I did it, the more I trusted, the better it got. And I would just start doing it, and it would be no, or it would be yes. But lately, I don't know if this is on purpose, but my pendulums, I have 2 or 3 or 4 of them, have all decided to, they come and go as they choose. Sometimes I can find them, sometimes I can't find them here. Oh no, that's not the pendulum pouch. That's full of like some jewelry or something. And it's like, that was supposed to have a pendulum in it. What's going on? So lately, and I'm glad we're having this discussion because it's going to remind me I have a whole bazillion decisions to make emptying this trailer I have of my belongings, and I'm trying to go through it and give things away, what I don't need, what somebody else could use. And I'm like just dreading every time I open the door. It's still 2/3 full and it's right to the top. But now you're reminding me is just to what I've been doing lately, and I've forgotten about it, is just take a coin and flip it and say, okay, I'm keeping it or not keeping it, or I'm going or I'm not going. Flip it. Heads is yes, tails is no. Then if I don't catch it, it goes on the floor. I have to start again. My rule is I've got to catch it in the air and put it on my other hand, because it doesn't matter what happens if it does. If I don't catch it, it doesn't count. And then the secret is to not question it. Oh, should I go maybe at 7 instead of 8? No, the question was, should I go at all? And don't question it. Just then that saves me so much time. My procrastination can go out the window, and then I can say, oh, should I be doing this instead? Yes, I'm doing that instead. Is this person a good person to hang out with tonight? Do they have the right message for me? Do I, is it a good endeavor? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this is great. Thank you for the call, because it's reminding me, because I still have this 2/3 of a trailer to go through, and now it will be simple. If I'm meant to keep it, it will be a heads up yes, or tails up no. I'll put it in the pile and I'll carry on, stuff it in the car to take it to Goodwill or someone's house, and then this will get me through it, because I've decided to give myself one more day of this torture. And whatever's in there, staying in there, and I'm packing all the rest of the keep back in, and that's it. I'm coming to East Coast. I'm not gonna take the next 7 days and try and get out of here and leave my house and move and still be going through stuff. It's too much. It's too overwhelming. So thank you for this. Is perfect timing as usual. Thank you very much. I needed it. Now we'll listen.
Go ahead, Tanya. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, like, it's interesting. Like, I have had conversations with so many people where even when you're not aware of what they're doing, there's this bit of a flow. And I'm noticing there's so many people that are doing this, going through all of these things and letting them go, and myself included. And I have a little pendulum that come from my mother's. I got it because it's pretty. It doesn't serve me anymore. For me, it's like, if I have something in my home and I pick it up and my question is, does it make me happy? Does it bring me joy anymore? And if I feel my awareness is much more stronger and growing every day, where, like, if I feel even the smallest amount of this is like, I don't know what to do with it. This is, there are mental processes that I'm aware of from childhood of, this is still good. This could be used. This is valuable. Don't throw it out because it's wasteful. It's going to be junk. There's got to be, so I'll hold on to it. But it doesn't serve me or bring me joy anymore. So then this is like the yes and no. Do I keep it? Do I not? If it makes me feel any little bit of then it's no. It's always a no. So I'm just, it's interesting over the past 5-6 years or whatever, how I've felt the energy ebb and flow and change in the needs of what is happening, both for myself individually and sort of collectively across the world. You hear everyone talking. It's just, I really enjoy it, and I'm enjoying being more aware of it rather than being caught up in a shit, it's me, I can't deal with this stuff, and I'm oblivious and unaware of what's happening outside. It's really refreshing for me.
I was going to say, it sounds so simple, just a yes and a no. And I think everyone here knows that in the beginning, when it's either answer, our brain does the 40,000 questions. And as time goes on, we get that to 39,000 questions. Right. And then it slowly gets down to just a couple of questions. And then most of the time, when we get there and we just go, is it a yes or no? And we're just really listening and feeling, because for any one of us to describe exactly how it works for us, it's just slightly different for everybody. And that's where the practice comes in, and that's the scary thing, because, it's not like we can write down a list of, 25 things you have to do. The 25 things might help, but the other person might need to start at 24 and then go to 13 and then go to 9, then go to 8, and then go to 1. Like whatever that process is 100% individual. Mm-hmm. Even though there's lots of similarities, there's lots of overlap, but like the actual steps to get to that level of trust is the practice, is the mistakes. Even when you think you're listening to spirit and then afterwards you went, that's what kind of was going on. Okay, I get that. Like, and that did take me a few years to sort out, and now, like, even if it's minor things, like, I'll just choose not to. Like, there are certain foods that my body really doesn't love, and I'll hold it up, and my body will go, don't you dare. And I'll go, nah, 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 nah. So like, and I'll just eat it and I'll just, okay, whatever, like I might not feel good for an hour and then it'll move on or whatever like that. But yeah, that's
the taste buds are stronger. Hey, they've got more. I understand that one very well.
I think it's more in the mind than it is in a physical sense. I think, I grew up, my mom baked, so white flour, white sugar, all that stuff that my body really doesn't love anymore, it still carries a memory attached to it of like, oh my God, is that ever good? So like, and it does like a mental thing with endorphins and all kinds of stuff, even though shortly after the endorphins, it's like, it's the sugar crash and it's like, okay, I won't do that again. And then like 6 months will go by and I'll be like, So, and again, it's not about being perfect. It's not about beating yourself up because you did it. It's just the honesty around it. That's all.
Absolutely. The honesty is the key part, to be able to look at each of it. Like for me to look at myself in the mirror and go, yeah, okay, you got the prompt not to get the ice cream, but you still went ahead and ate the double thingy and it was good. But yeah, but it's like, okay, you made the choice, have the experience of how the stomach feels now. Yes.
I like what I was thinking about what Joanne was saying about tools. And as she was talking about the pendulum, it reminded me of muscle testing and different ways to sort of ask, connect to spirit through the body or through your intuition, or just like Greg was saying, we're all individuals, so it comes in a little bit differently for everyone. But trying out different tools and different practices to see what it feels like in your body is useful and important at the beginning. One game that I used to play and I teach clients is to write down, maybe a dozen questions, yes, no questions on a piece of paper, and ground yourself, connect to your heart. It's important to be, in the receptive mode. You can't be in your logical thinking brain if you're asking questions from spirit. You have to be, whatever word you want to use, you have to be in your heart, or you have to be open to receiving. You have to be connected to source. And so whatever practice you need to do to be there, and then have the other person read off a question, and you have to answer before they're finished asking the question. And so, it's a yes, no. And it's like this, you're not, because you can't think about it, because you have to answer yes or no before they're done asking. And it's like this drop of water that falls down, that comes in from spirit, right? Like a yes or no drop, and you got to catch it before it falls into the ocean of your consciousness. Like it just pops in, and you just play a game of like asking spirit yes no questions and answering before the question, because on the quantum level, on the spiritual level, your spirit knows what that person is going to ask before they've even started asking it. Your spirit knows what the answer to the yes no question is before the question's even been asked. So you play the game of answering it, and then you just have them jot, and then it's just a game of yes no. And then the other part, whether you're using a pendulum or yes no's or muscle testing, the other part is once you decide, just go with it. Like get those 39,000 questions down to 2 or 3, because that's just like, oh, did spirit really say that, or is that really from spirit, or should I really? And then you're just back in the loop of just trust. That's the whole game of just trusting that, because even like making a decision and walking forward with it, even if it's the wrong decision, is still better than staying indecisive. And you'll still get where you're meant to go anyway. You'll just learn. It's all learning.
Yes.
So you get a message from spirit, you just go, just do it. No questions, just do it. If you fall on your face, great. If it works out, great again.
Either way, you learn something. That's the key.
Either way.
Like I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and I said, there's no right or wrong. You're just learning. So if you're learning, it's good.
Yeah.
You might not like the learning, and sometimes you like the learning, but that's not relevant, because if we only choose to try to find the ones where we really like it, we could, in theory, be cutting off half of our learning opportunities.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Excuse me. I used to feel that if it was a negative thing, excuse me, it was I should be more advanced in this. I know this, so why am I experiencing this if I'm better than that, which is an ego thing or a conditional thinking, it's only as bad as I want to make it be. It might not be a nice experience, but you can have unpleasant experiences and still walk out of it and go like, okay, well, I got this from it, and I'm thankful for that, even though it was bleh. And you can have like really easy, wonderful, good experiences, or what are perceived as good experiences, and go like, that wasn't really for me. I didn't really like that, or I would not choose to do that again, right? So it doesn't matter. It's just it's so much more relaxing and freeing to go, well, I'm having an experience. That's it. At the end of the day, I can go to sleep. It's been said and done. There's a new day. I can start afresh. It doesn't have to stay this way. It doesn't have to be, contingent on.
Yeah, I think that's been a game changer for me is to be okay or at peace with the so-called negative experiences, or the bad ones or the wrong ones, because it's in that experiencing and noticing what I'm making that mean, right? That's a real cleaning of the house, like you were saying. It's like, whoa, I'm making myself wrong for making that choice that didn't work out. Whoa. So what does that say about me? Right? Because that would show me when I procrastinated. I've had, because that was a habit for a long time, that I just never wanted to be wrong. So I just never made a choice or never took action on it. Right? I had to go through the 39,000 things until you get to, well, now I notice there's a lot of time that went by, and sure, that can still happen. And sometimes I feel like there isn't a choice, and the action is rest. And I've said, like, great musical compositions still have a rest symbol in there, right? So rest is an action. It's that sense of just take a break for a moment, and then can you do that? Can you take a break and let the other part of the symphony be played by Frederick, Greg, or Tanya, or am I the one, or always having to do something? And then if that's the case, what am I making that mean, right? And the more, as you say, about being honest with yourself and coming back here and going, again, it's about me. It's about me again, right? Then you go, oh yeah. And you get rid of all those wrongs and the shame or the guilt or the idea that you made a mistake. And you go, well, that's where most of the learning, I think, has come from. I think in so many ways, if the world can get, it isn't just about the law of attraction and creating what you want. It's realizing, letting go. You have to exhale before you can take in the next breath. You have to have a shit. Like, you don't have to, but you just know if you're constipated for a few days, that's not comfortable, right? Like, so, our body perspires for a reason. There's a natural letting go in the process. The seasons change because the seasons change, right? If we had the same consistency all the time, I think we'd become bored. And the other thought that just came to me is when you're talking about, sometimes people think, oh, well, that person made a wrong decision and look, something catastrophic happened to them. And I feel like the other side of the coin is people don't say, oh, they made the right choice and look at the blessing that happened to them. Like, is there a wrong or a right choice? And is it catastrophic? Or is that the blessing that they needed to have? It's just in disguise because we're so attached to what a blessing is supposed to look like.
Thinking on what you were just saying about, people going like, oh, this is how a manifestation and whatnot. I think what gets lost is that manifestation for a lot of people is that it's only pretty and lovely and wonderful. But even the things that we don't necessarily like are the things that we've manifested anyway. And it's like, yeah, you got to be accountable for yourself in that too, because it works both ways. It's not just wonderful, It's your energy in action, If you're having an experience that's not feeling like this or whatever, what is it in you? Address you, and go from there.
Sometimes the blessing is a part of your life blowing up.
Exactly.
I was
and you need an example. There's COVID, hey?
And I mean, who hasn't had an experience where they feel like their life just blew up? Anybody? It's your life all just been calm and wonderful.
How many times?
Yeah.
You mean this week?
Yeah, I just want to say to Tanya, like, when we just, not to you, but just what you said kind of made me think about it, is the when we have these experiences and we want to file them into the dark file. I haven't mastered this by any means, but for me, that is the flashlight that shines on the stuff I need to look at. It's not darkness. It's not bad. It's not evil. And when I find myself getting sucked into something where I'm just sitting there playing it over and over and over and over and over and in my head, and it's bugging me or it's irritating me, and then when I finally catch myself doing that dance, then I go, oh, this is the flashlight. I need to take a look at this. And it changes it completely for me, where then it's easy to kind of let it go and look at it and go like, why did I get sucked into this? And, and I don't always find an answer to that, but I still find it easier to surrender to, perhaps I just don't know yet, or the reasons behind my feelings for that aren't there yet. And that becomes the practice of, that's the literal definition for not taking it personally, right? It's just when you catch yourself just, instead of 39,000 questions, you have 39,000 reasons why it happened, or
Exactly. Yeah.
that stuff, right? You're
But
trying
there,
to,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off then.
no.
That's exactly, yes, exactly what I am feeling now. Before it was.
Justify it.
Pardon? I missed what she said. It is this concept that it's good or bad, and it's just not. So,
What were you saying, Joe?
Trying to justify it.
Say more.
No, he's saying you're looking for 39 million reasons. It's like, because the reasoning is you're trying to justify it to be right or wrong.
Yeah. I love it when people start that to me, and I said, well, who are you trying to convince, me or you?
Mhm.
And it's like, and the right answer is both usually. And again, it's not even wrong, right? It's not about wrong and right again. And when I want, if someone catches me doing that, I want them to respond kindly to me. So then, because I usually get around to catching myself at some point, and I'm totally okay with someone pointing that out to me, or at least most of the time, right? And so, and it's how it's all pointed out. If you come down like the big hammer on someone, it's generally, it doesn't end well.
Yes. So asking questions about, really, you think I should be thinking that way? We could give someone room to expand upon why they think you're acting the wrong way. And then possibly there's a dialogue. And sometimes there's not, because people are so attached to their way of thinking.
Yes.
That it's really irrelevant. And then that's our experience to be able to be okay, right? And be at peace with our decision that this is what we felt. We felt to say no or yes or whatever the choice was that we made. And then we give permission to other people to do it. Like today I met with Caroline. And so she was sharing. So Tanya, everybody's met Caroline. She was at our fire, but just bear with me here. And she recalled that, Greg, you had said to her she needed to get, I think you said quiet, to get still. Do you remember that, outside the teepee?
Yeah.
And so, I'll just say the first time I ever got told to get quiet or still, that meant like go meditate. And where she was led was to play the fiddle. And she was explaining to me how the guitar is very much, come on, everybody, like get out and sing and gathering. And the fiddle has required her to become more inner. And she can go play in the fiddle, be with the group of people that play the fiddle, and then leave that group and not even really have to interact with them because that was playing of the fiddle. She's learned her body has had to relax. She's noticed the foods that she eats. One of her mentors shared the food that she eats has to relax her body. And this whole process of playing the fiddle has got her to get still. And I was like, that's amazing. And I think that's the beauty of us all being different is, she's saying yes to something that other people would be saying, no, that's not how you do it. You're still doing something. You have to get quiet, right? So there's answers for all of us in different ways. Now we are going to be very punctual tonight. Okay. So we got we're on the lightning round of the last part of it. Oh, look, hold on. And the lightning part, maybe before we do this, somebody just showed up. It's Abdul. Woo. So Abdul, baby, how are you? Can't hear you though. So you're with us in spirit.
I'm still alive.
Yeah,
Didn't
there you
it?
go. So
Listen,
did you
guys,
want
I
to
see
help
you.
in the wrap up here of what was it like for you when you said no to spirit when you or didn't say no to spirit or didn't agree when spirit told you to say no about something and you just dissed it?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, sure.
Has it been that long?
You've never said no? You've always just agreed?
Obedient,
When
yeah.
spirit told you to do something, you said, sure, no problem. You tell me not to do it, I won't do it.
Well, my practice, we're talking about, let's say, even 30 years ago, it was a process of obedience when I found myself in the hospital, paralyzed from the neck down, listening. My listening started me on a journey of obedience. And so because I was so, let's say, helpless, you know, unable to move and all of that, all I could do was obey everything that came to me. Actually, especially in the beginning, I didn't even have a voice. I couldn't even speak. So it was just like being in this tomb, and whatever they said and did and offered me, I just had to be agreed. And I, and to this day, I'm very agreeable. You could ask me, I said, okay, meet me at 6 and I'll be sitting on that bench till 9, waiting, just agree. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's due to the evolution of the process. But the initial stage of this journey for me forced me to be obedient. That was just be obedient to the voice and see where it has taken me. So I've learned to trust, and so I've learned to understand that no means not now. So there's no resistance, to anything that doesn't happen in that moment.
So would you have said before you were lying in the hospital, paralyzed from the neck down, you maybe ignored spirit?
Because I was a businessman, business mind, I was very intent on making things happen. And because I was a boss, um, feeling that I was in control of the outcome, if not most of the time. So I was always the one trying to make it happen and trying to see solution. I was blessed even then to be in a position where I was listening to other business, helping other people that were business minds to develop their business. So therefore, I was a listener and listening for what can I do to help. And so my gift, I discovered afterward that my gift is vision. So my listening was always to receive from spirit what the next thing was. And it played out in every avenue of my life. There were frustrations because things weren't happening fast enough, or I knew there was another move to make, but there were other things because of my programming that didn't allow me to move on them or as fast as I would had liked to, even
So
in relationship.
yeah, so the question, so one of the things I brought up, I'll just ask you. So looking back now at your life, would you say the experience of becoming paralyzed was a gift or a catastrophic event that ruined your life?
It was for me the next thing.
Yeah.
It was it because of who I was.
Mhm.
I didn't realize who I was becoming, and I wasn't aware of the contract. So when it happened, I was 36 years old, and shortly after I started to unfold in the process, I realized that I had recognized that every 9 years something would happen, catastrophic, or that would make me pause. So I was living in 9 year cycles. Fourth of it at age 36, right? Another one offered me the challenge of, and so I just kind of went with that and watched the movie basically as I became.
Okay. It's beautiful. I mean, imagine if everybody could be at peace with their tasks and their movie roles. We'd all be saying
It's really,
yes to spirit.
but by design, the life on earth is experience. And so our program doesn't always allow us to realize that. And so we grow up judging and believing that things should be a way that they aren't presently for us. And so we resist. But however, it's all about experience. If you just stop and pause and look at your own lives and look at the lives around us, and if we didn't react negatively or positively, one way or the other, it would just be an experience that we had or that we gifted to another. And the 24 hours in a day, according to this clock and calendar, that we find ourselves in most of the time. But this, and it's only that one day. And so the day will come and the sun will rise and it will again show us darkness. And we begin again.
As you're talking, a unknown bird for me has just landed. It's a fair size in the tree right out in front, and it's just nibbling at the berries that are there. And I have to go Google it. Like it's like this size, that wide. It's a sign.
It's going to be a peasant.
Could be a peasant. But I thought peasants had floppier tails. But yes, it's a sign. It's a sign.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It was wonderful. I'm so glad you could come join us. Does anybody else want to share as we close up on this one tonight? Because we're keeping it intentional at the hour mark here.
I've covered enough of my flaws for one evening.
I was just we've touched and danced around this, but I was just thinking about how we get a sign or a message or an intuition from spirit and we follow it, and then there's this expectation that when spirit guides us, things are all going to go well. And oftentimes, surprisingly, you get a message from spirit or intuition and you follow it, and like I said before, a part of your life blows up. And as long as you're just willing to accept that that's just an experience, as we've been saying, and oftentimes, if you look back years later, it was the perfect experience. It was the experience you needed at that time. And so I guess the point is that just because you're getting a message from spirit doesn't mean it's all going to be rosy. Sometimes you get a message from spirit and you follow it and something blows up. And just to allow yourself to have that experience, it's like without the judgment and without the questions, and it's just an experience, and potentially the perfect experience for you at that time.
And as you watch and you notice that the world around you is blowing up, just grab some popcorn and enjoy the movie. Because eventually bridges will be built again.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it's definitely spirit, I believe always leads you to what you're supposed to do and leads you to what needs to be undone so that you can reveal your own self to yourself. To see what you're really made out of, because that's kind of, I think, the end of the equation for anyone who's looking at some sort of higher meaning to whatever's going on is like I used to always pray when I was like pretty young. I was like 15, 16, 17, and I'd always just say, give me a very sensitive body. Let me know how I feel and why I feel and all that stuff. And then, then I complained about it when it got too sensitive, but until it's just what it is. Like I just feel stuff and just try to talk about it. And that's it. Like and I still have no attachment to whatever even comes out, because I could change my mind tomorrow on what it really means. And I'm fine with that.
Well, I'm going to make it mean that there must have been a lot of good energy that the animals liked today, because I sit out here a lot and watch the forest in front of me. And in this 1 hour, the bunny rabbit went by, the pheasant or whatever was in the tree, the chipmunk just ran across the road, like all very, in my face so I could see them. They're probably there all the time, but this time they revealed themselves to me. So I'd say that they like the conversation and they're like, yeah, baby, go for it. Connect more with spirit. Yeah.
Whenever we have these conversations, my dog sits under the desk right here, has to sit right here.
And hides? No.
No, if I come in here and he's not here, I'll hear this whimpering at the door.
Yeah. He's like, let me in. I want to be part of it too. It's good vibes.
So if you see me rocking like this sometimes, that's because I'm rubbing him with my foot.
All right. Well, I thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next week if it fits in your schedule, and we'll continue talking about how amazing life is when we just go with what we feel guided to do in spirit. So, namaste.
Have a good one.
Yeah, we're getting